Okay, this question is from Beneficial Source 1734. So you've developed this. Your team's got this rigidity, right? They're not kind of moving to the ball or moving to the passes. They're staying too strictly in their formation. So your question is, how do you get them to be more dynamic, and not be so rigid in their formation? So there's an easy fix to this, and right? You gotta There are four things you want to strive to do and do well in practice, right? And you could repeat this sequence of this practice routine with your team every practice, and they're going to get better and better from this routine because they're going to start to expect this routine if you execute it properly. And this routine, since it's the most important things you want to do well, it's going to translate to a lot of success on the field. First thing is, after warm-up is possession, right? You can do 2-team possession with 2 touch, 1 on the takeover, then drop it down to 1 touch. You could do 3-team possession, right? Like a monkey in the middle style possession. And you could do possession through gates. So in your possession area, you put down, ideally you have some thin cones, and you make a few gates, right? 4 or 5 gates around the field, and teams got to play through the gates to score points, and then points add up. Certain number of points adds up to a goal, right? So it's possession through gates. Then you want to do finishing on goal, right? You start off with Slotsville. Slotsville is hard load driven balls on the ground, right? Just tucking the ball away. You could start the line maybe a few yards higher than the 18, right? Maybe 10 steps higher than the 18. And after, a couple rounds, right, 10 minutes of Slotsville, then you do 5 minutes of Volleysville. Players face you, you're facing the goal. You throw the ball underhand over their head, they spin around and just get great contact and a perfect volley. And then you're doing crossing and finishing. Right, crossing and finishing, 4 lines total. Two lines on the outsides. Both lines have the ball. 2 attacking lines in the center. Right, attacking lines are crisscrossing. Finishing on goal, you alternate serving lines. Right, serving lines on the outside. Every other one, there's no whistle. It's just as soon as the line's ready to go, you send them off. They go. Finish on goal. If you don't have a backstop behind your goal, you might need to reset the balls at the serving lines just to get caught up. Right, so you do that for another 15 minutes, and then immediately after this, you go straight into playing to big goals. You separate your team into 3. And why this is important is because if you just have your team scrimmage each other on only have 2 teams, there's no risk reward when a team loses or if a team scores on another team. If you have 3 teams, right, and 1 team on the outside has bumpers with 1 touch, then this creates higher levels of competition, because now if a team gets scored on, they have to step off, right? They're on the outside as bumpers with 1 touch, and the team on the outside comes onto the field and they're playing, right? So now the reward is you get to stay on the field and play, and then if you lose, you're now on the outside. And the third reason it's so effective is because when players are on the outside, they're super engaged because they want to get back on the field. They want to be playing, right? They want to be king of the hill. So they're engaged even though they're on the outside with 1 touch, and ideally, since they want to get back on, they're making great passes, and they're focused, and they're not, lost in the clouds or just daydreaming. They're very focused on playing, on helping keep possession for the team that played them the ball, right? They're neutral players, bumpers on the outside with 1 touch. And if you follow this routine, you're gonna have great success, because it's like the essential things that every team needs to do well to succeed, right? Possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then playing to big goals, right? Especially the possession and the the playing at the end. That's what's really gonna help you transition from offense to defense and create a lot of movement off the ball. Create a lot of it's gonna help encourage your players to break out of these traditional that 4-3-3 formation. They're going to be more dynamic on the field. So I think this is a simple fix. If you just run that, right, you run that format every practice, they're going to start to expect it, and they're going to have my coach, former coach Doug Nevins. He did this with us when we were U13, right? So just 1 year older, and we were ranked, right, by the time we were U18, we were ranked #1 in the country. That's PDA Cruyff in 2008, right? So it's effective. It works. I promise you. And I'll give you one more tidbit. Something that he did super effectively was when he made substitutions, he would take forwards and wingers off halfway through the first half, and then the subs that came in halfway through the first half, he would leave them on halfway into the second half. And then at the halfway into the second half, he would replace the forwards and the wingers with the original starters of the game. So this was super effective because it gave the subs continuity, right? Because they were still pretty warmed up from playing the whole end of the first half, and they rode that good energy into the second half. The starters, since they did a lot of work in the first half of the first half, then since they knew that they're going to come on the second half of the second half, they had a lot of energy because it wasn't a question mark of whether or not they're going to get back on the field, right? So this gave players something to look forward to. It made it more of a team effort as opposed to, you have a starting 11, and then a lot of coaches will just throw subs on sporadically. Maybe only 1 or 2 players will come on or come off. This makes your team more effective because it spreads out minutes, but it does it in an elegant way where the whole team, or a greater portion of the team, can contribute to the win, right? To the win. So this is just a small strategy with substitution that created huge results, right? You get a lot of bang for your buck because now you're getting more players involved. There's more team camaraderie. There's better energy. Sometimes you got coaches who tell players to warm up and they don't even get them in the game, and that's demoralizing. You have coaches who one player makes one mistake, and then that coach is pulling that player off immediately. So now you got players in this fear mindset, which is probably the worst thing that you could do to get the most, get the creativity and hard working players. So these are just some little things that you may or may not have heard of that might help help grow your team. So reach out with any questions, and I hope this helps. All right, thank you.